Good morning. It's the day after Christmas, and I want to talk about Luke 23:34. Jesus is hanging on the cross, and he says, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." I remember watching Passion of the Christ, and I believed in God, but I wasn't a follower at that time, and I just remember weeping when I heard him say that, that here they are killing him, and yet he's crying out on their behalf, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." Because if they knew your love, they knew who you were, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. And we can take that into our own lives. When people are acting self-centered and self-seeking and just out of that broken place, it's so easy to act towards them back out of our own flesh. But if we really understand what's underneath it all, our issue isn't against flesh and blood, but it's against principalities and spiritual forces that are, people are in bondage to self. And then when we can see them with compassion rather than from what they're doing, because forgive them, Father, they don't know what they're doing. That's a better way to live. It's a struggle for us because we're flesh and spirit, so we struggle with that. But the beauty of Christ saying that, because if we understand the love of God, it changes everything. And I was thinking about how the brokenness and suffering in our life a lot of times will bring us finally to that place where we cry out, "God, help me." Whatever it is. Before, we were always living in a posture of trying to do it pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and do it on our own, instead of sometimes suffering can bring us to a place of really reaching out to God. "God, help me." Now all of a sudden we don't have to be so dependent upon ourselves. We're dependent upon Him for the first time, and there's beauty in that. There's freedom in that. Now all of a sudden you don't have to make sense of everything. You can trust in God. And allow Him to be your rock instead of you being your own rock. Because I heard it said that, why do we rely on ourselves only to find out ourselves unreliable? And there's so much truth in that. There's so much that we can't make sense of. There's so much that is out there that we're going to struggle with. But we can become free in a submitted life to God and experience His strength rather than just my own. I'd much rather put my hope in the Creator of all things rather than this broken vessel right here. And that's what I've experienced in my life. It's just coming to the end and seeing people with new lenses, that when they're doing things to you and they're doing things that are just not right, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do," is the posture of my heart. That's more led by the Spirit than it is led by the flesh, because we have a choice each and every day. We can be led by the flesh or by the Spirit. May the Spirit of God lead your heart and your life today, and look at people through compassion rather than, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing a lot of times because they haven't encountered the love of God. And if you haven't, it's beautiful. Now all of a sudden you can become free for the first time. Before, I was in bondage to self my entire life. You don't have to live that way today. You can rest, be still, and know that I am God, and that I love you and want the best for your life. You are the one choosing to settle for less. We can choose something different today. Choose Him. God bless.